appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dion's Daily Dose. And today we've got Shawn with us in the studio. It is really good of him to join us, and we're going to have a really good discussion. We got several topics to cover. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on stage here. There he is.
Hello.
Hi, Shawn. Okay, let me adjust my camera real quick if you want to fill the audience in on what we're covering today.
All right, we're covering Russia's getting closer ties with North Korea, and then we were going to talk about the Indiana Governor debate. Republican.
Yes, which is I had mixed feelings when I started watching it, right? So we've got my wife, who's a very big proponent of Suzanne Crouch. Well, we'll get to it. Go ahead and fill it in on the rest. I'm dying to get into this because there's a lot there.
And then we were going to start doing a conspiracy theory each show.
Yes.
So this show's conspiracy theory is going to be on the Baltimore bridge collapse.
Yeah, there are some very interesting theories going around about that. We're going to talk about those, and we're going to I'm basically going to fill in what I've learned about it. I've got a couple of links and a couple of videos to show. I will say this though. So there's the most prevalent one that's out there that I saw almost right away. And we're going to just get this out of the way. Okay. Is that explosives were planted on the top, right? I saw the video for it and it's gone now. I can't even access it, even though I sent it to you. Yeah. It's completely gone. Now we downloaded it. So I should still have it, but I don't, which is really, really weird.
That is really weird.
But what it was it was a slow-mo showing the top of the bridge, right? When the ship hit it, and there are what look to be sparks / smoke / explosion. There have been a lot of people who have come out and addressed that and said there are actually electrical lines that run at the top of the bridge for the lights. Okay. And they are, they don't have to be high power, right? But they're high power enough that they would spark an arc. So I can't conclusively say either way, obviously, but it's reasonable that electric arcing and lights blowing up could conceivably create something that looked that way.
The one that I heard is
sorry
that the government messed up and it was a terrorist attack, and now they're trying to cover that up. Yeah.
So interesting thought about that is, I don't know if you guys saw, but they did an interview with the head of the NTSB, or at least a part of the NTSB, right? Which is the National Transportation Safety Bureau or Board.
I think board.
Two really interesting things came from that. Number one, the NTSB confirmed that 2 minutes of the black box are missing.
Really?
Yeah. And it is, interestingly enough, the 2 minutes when the crash happened or slightly preceding it. That area, that little time period right there.
That's interesting.
You can look it up. And I just saw it, a confirmation today. The other interesting thing is that the NTSB claims that it's going to take up to 2 years to do this investigation.
Wow.
2 years.
Yeah, it's usually not.
This should not take 2 years to investigate, especially if, like they say, it's negligence, My big question with everything, though, we just ate Easter dinner, so you have to excuse me. I might have the occasional, belch. I'm not trying to, but talking makes it, happen. For one, 2 years is insane. But my big question through all of this is, why the hell did Biden go on TV and say that the government's going to pay for this?
Yeah,
shouldn't it be the insurance company or the owner of the said ship that crashed into our bridge?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. We'll touch back on this in a little bit because I got some things I want to share with you guys, but let's get started.
Okay.
So first topic you said is not India.
You want to talk
about Russia and North Korea, right?
Okay. Yeah, Russia vetoed a resolution on North Korea.
Oh, okay.
This week.
All right.
And their ties, they're getting closer, becoming more and more allies. It was for them to keep an eye on their weapons program. And Russia is not cooperating. I don't know if they're just trying to do it out of spite because of what the world is basically condemning Russia because of Ukraine.
Oh, okay.
Or what's exactly behind.
So we have, I'm going to actually give me just a second, guys. I'm going to try so here because I find it easier. Okay. So this news story we have here is North Korea has sent 6,700 containers of munitions to Russia.
Uh-huh.
South Korea is the one who made that claim, right? So carrying millions of munitions to Russia since July to support its war against Ukraine and a sign of ongoing arms transfers, South Korean media reported on Tuesday, citing the defense minister. At a briefing, said the containers might carry more than 152 millimeter artillery shells. Man, I'm just today. Or 500,000 122 millimeter rounds. So it's artillery. They're sending them artillery. Quote, it could possibly be a mix of the two, and you can say that at least several million shells have been sent, Shin said, according to the Yonhap news agency. So they're like coming out and saying, yeah, we're providing Russia with munitions.
And the reason why I picked this article, people might wonder, is one spark. There's so many different ways that a world war can happen. I can see Russia's also allies with Iran and Syria, and I could see how the world could divide up and start a world war very easily.
And a lot of people that's something that we kind of, I think you and I had a little conversation about it before, but one thing that a lot of people don't realize, like World War II, for example, nowadays, looking back, we look at how World War II started. Right. There was this, then this, and these all culminated into this, alliance and this alliance. These things are happening in real time now. And it's hard to say what that spark will be or already has happened.
There's so many hot spots. We got Israel and Hamas, the war.
Right.
Which is called, and then Russia, Ukraine, and then Venezuela and Ghana. There's an update on that.
Oh, tell me about that.
Okay. Venezuela started to, but they said they wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
They started to claim part of Ghana as their own.
Right. So this goes back to an earlier episode that you and I had. And we had talked about that then, where Venezuela was essentially laying claim. It's disputed territory, right? So Ghana claims it's ours. Venezuela claims it's theirs. And it's always been kind of a silent agreement between the two that they just kind of avoid it, right? This particular area just kind of avoid it.
But Venezuela needs the money now.
Right. But now, since there have been some very, very expensive natural resources that have been found in this area, right? Isn't it like oil or?
It is oil.
Venezuela's like, you know what? We're taking this. This is ours. It's always been ours. This is ours. So it is turning into a problem. A problem. It's turning into a problem in the region. So, I don't love any of these lines.
And Russia vetoed the resolution at the UN.
Yeah. So you say Russia. Let's see. Did you
Here's
send that
another
to me?
article.
Okay. Yeah, he's going to send that to me, and I'll bring it up. Let's see here.
Oops, wrong
Okay.
article. That didn't work.
Oh, the using vote. Yep. Okay. So, whoops.
Try this one.
Oh, that'll work. That's fine. Let's see.
Or that one.
Oh, you sent another one? I've got the Russia criticized for using
we can use
veto.
the Guardian.
Okay. All right. So there we go. Okay. There, let's bring this up. All right. So go away. Russia criticized for using veto to end UN monitoring of North Korea sanctions. Ukraine's foreign minister calls veto guilty plea amid claims Pyongyang is aiding Moscow's war against Kyiv. And it sounds like North Korea admitted it.
Yeah.
The defense minister said, "Oh yeah, we're sending them stuff. Absolutely." So Shawn has been kind enough to post the link to this, but I'll show you guys. There you go. So essentially, Russia blocked the renewal of a UN panel monitoring sanctions against North Korea weeks after the body said it was investigating reports of arms transfers between Moscow and Pyongyang. The move was met with a flurry of criticism, including by Ukraine's foreign minister. Okay, here we go. I'm going to try it. You ready?
All right.
You ready? All right. Dmytro Kuleba. What do you think? You think it's Kuleba or Kuleba?
Kuleba. Try Kuleba.
Okay.
I have no
Who
idea.
took that? I don't either. Who took to social media to call the veto a guilty plea amid allegations? Yeah. The United States called the veto by Russia, quote, a self-interested effort to bury the panel's reporting on its own collusion with North Korea. Moscow's veto at the Security Council does not remove the sanctions on North Korea, but it does spell the end for the group monitoring their implementation and myriad alleged violations. The panel's mandate expires at the end of April. So I think the big takeaway from this is that North Korea is shipping artillery shells to Russia. The UN has a group that's supposed to be monitoring these sanctions, including the prohibition of stuff like this. And Russia essentially used their veto power to get rid of the oversight. Is that a good summary, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's where we're at. I'm not sure how to feel about that. On the one hand, it's interesting that the US cares so much about this particular sanction deal, but yet the Iran nuclear treaty and everything else, that's perfectly okay with them. I don't know, man. We're seeing a whole lot of like gaslighting and ridiculous behavior from our so-called leaders.
And then if you want, here's the Venezuelan update.
Okay, yeah.
I found it.
All right,
I sent it to you.
Okay. All right. So as far as Venezuela goes, let's see.
Venezuela and Ghana.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that. Let's get this here. Okay. All righty. So let's bring this up. Okie dokie. So Venezuela's parliament approves creation of state in disputed oil-rich Essequibo. I have no idea if that's how you say it.
I don't either.
Venezuela's parliament has approved a law creating a federal state in the disputed oil-rich area of Essequibo across the border in Guyana, which on Friday slammed a, quote, flagrant violation of its sovereignty.
After they said they won it, like I predicted.
Yeah, you called it. You're like, oh yeah, they're totally, they're totally doing it. And sure enough, it says Caracas has long laid claim to Essequibo, which makes up about 2/3 of Guyana's territory, but started taking active steps to retrieve the land after massive offshore oil deposits were discovered there in 2015. Oh, look, they found something valuable. Now, all of a sudden, everybody wants it.
And the socialists need money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thatcher always said they'll eventually run out of other people's money.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Socialism eventually runs out of other people's money.
And it's sad because Venezuela used to be a prosperous country.
Not even that long ago.
No.
Like in our lifetime,
Yeah.
like what was it like in the late 2000s, I think?
I think they elected Chavez as president.
Okay. Yeah. So 1998. So not even that long ago.
No.
Like
it didn't take long for them to destroy the country.
Isn't it crazy? Because Venezuela was one of the richest countries in the hemisphere. Like
South
they
America,
were
yes.
definitely in South America. I mean, they were up there. And within 20 years, they absolutely obliterated everything that made Venezuela what it was. And they're eating pets now and trying to survive.
And our friends on the left try to make it sound like it's because of climate change. The reason Venezuela, they don't want to admit that it was socialism.
Well, yeah. They can't admit that socialism's bad. They'll lose all their street cred. I mean, that's what they're trying to push here. So why would they admit that it's, terrible? Okay. So anything else, or do you want to move on?
Good.
Okay. This one's a little more local. Okay. Let me bring this up. So here we live in Indiana, but we live like right by the border of Michigan. Like you can be there in minutes. So Michigan actually has, that I know of, they probably have more, but the two that I'm most familiar with, there's Cook Nuclear Plant, which is in Bridgman, Michigan, which is really a short drive from us. And then there's one further up the coast called, what's the name of it? I'm gonna show you here. It's a little further north, but they are two different nuclear plants, because when I first heard about this, I thought it was Cook, and I actually had a friend who worked at Cook Nuclear Plant. So I was like, dude, you didn't tell me? But no, Cook is still going. They're like until like 2035 or something. This is, there we go. So the Biden administration now announces they're going to loan Michigan $1.5 billion for the first reopening of a shuttered nuclear plant. So they want to restart the Michigan power plant. Okay. The loan, which is made through the Energy Department's Loan Programs Office with Inflation Reduction Act funds. Yeah, the Inflation Reduction Act, anyway, will allow Holtec to restart the Palisades nuclear plant in Covert Township. So the Palisades, like I said, I couldn't remember the name of it, but it's further north than Bridgman Cook Nuclear Plant. But the restoration, if approved by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, would be the first instance of the U.S. recommissioning a shuttered nuclear plant. It goes into more detail about how the deal, came about and like what this plant is and how it came about.
The first thing that came to my mind when I saw this was all the money. I wonder if I hate to be skeptical and stuff, but I hope all that tax money goes for the nuclear plant. Right.
So that's a lot of money.
That's
$1.5 billion is a lot of taxpayer money. So one of the things that struck me about this, now I want to make it perfectly clear, I am all in favor of nuclear energy.
Oh yeah, I am too.
Yeah, 100%. It has been grossly maligned by the climate change people that say it's this and it's that and it's dangerous and it's,
I'm an all of the above guy.
Yeah.
Like oil, wind, solar. Okay.
Whatever we can use, especially things that like pay for themselves, right? So one of the issues, and we're not going to get too far off topic, but one of the issues with like solar, for example, but especially wind, right? So these big turbines cost a lot of money to build. they go out, and then unfortunately the blades for these turbines can't be recycled. So they're buried in landfills. I have an issue with that. If there was a way to, change that / fix that, then, okay. But unfortunately,
so they've have history of funding projects like this, like Solyndra during the Obama administration.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't think of that, huh?
So that's what kind of I thought of when I saw this.
Yeah, your little BS meter started pinging a little bit. Yeah.
And then also Michigan is going to be extremely important for Biden in 2024. So this could be a political ploy.
It could be. I mean, it's absolutely possible. One of the things that is interesting is that it says it's going to produce power through at least 2051. So they set a target of a late 2025 restart. Here, I'll show you.
That was my next question, was when was it restart?
Yeah. So allegedly late in 2025. Now, what's really funny is the Energy Secretary of Michigan is saying that nuclear power is our single largest source of carbon-free electricity, directly supporting 100,000 jobs across the country and hundreds of thousands more indirectly. Anyway, one of the interesting things I found is that all of a sudden, the very climate change people who are telling us that cow farts are destroying the environment are suddenly all on board with nuclear power. That in and of itself raises an eyebrow.
That does.
Like, but it's all good. All right. So you ready you want to move on to the debate?
Sure.
Okay. So, I got an opportunity to watch the latest debate. If you haven't seen it, just look up, Indiana Gubernatorial Debate, and it should be, should pop right up.
Fox 59.
Yep, Fox 59 had it. I watched it in its entirety. It was pretty short. It was an hour, like right at an hour. I thought they could have extended it a little bit. Personally, I think there could. Some of the questions were just like, what? With all this going on, this is what you're choosing to ask?
Yeah.
But I'll run down through the questions as we talk about it. But one thing that I found important, they had a poll that they ran before the debate. Okay. So it was 3 weeks ago. Fox 59 had asked, if the primary was today, who would you vote for? The clear winner was Braun with 33.6% of the vote. Second place was Suzanne Crouch with 7.2% of the vote.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's still a big gap.
Doden, 6.6%, Chambers, 5.2%. And then Jamie Rittenauer was like 1 point.
Did you say this was before the debate?
This was prior to the debate.
Okay.
Yeah. It was 3 weeks before the debate. The reason I mention this is because even adding all those up, you're looking at a massive amount of undecideds.
Yeah, it's still anybody's race.
Anybody's race. Even before the debate, after the debate, it's anybody's race. But they then went on to ask, and this is the interesting part. So there were 3 topics that they asked their viewers or the people who responded to the poll. 3 topics that they asked them. Number 1, crime and public safety. Out of the candidates, who would do the best job regarding crime and public safety? I think that's a fair question. Again, Braun, clear winner at 54.4%. Crouch, 11.9%. Doden, 11.6%. Chambers, 11.3%. So very close on the quote second place. Yeah. Curtis Hill, 8.1%, and Jamie Rittenauer, 2.7%. So again, it's anybody's game, but Jamie is just not polling well.
No.
Number 2, taxes and the economy. And it was, who do you think would do a better job as far as taxes and the economy goes? Braun, 55.1%, Crouch, 15%, Doden, 11.1%, Chambers, 9.2%, Hill, 5.5%. Rittenauer did better in this regard at 4.1%. Education. Braun, 47%, Crouch 21.6. Doden 12, Chambers 10.1, Hill 5.3, and Rittenhour 4%. So this is interesting. The Republican primary voters who find immigration to be the top issue facing the state break for Braun at 48% and the economy at 40%. This is a really interesting statistic here. Braun's support in the Republican primary is about 10 points higher among men than women.
That is interesting.
And 51% of women are still undecided. So, ladies, you are going to decide the next governor of Indiana.
Uh-huh.
That's what that tells me, because with over 40% undecided and over 51% of women still undecided.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And they don't support Braun for the most, like much less. Braun has much less support among women than among men. 43.3% undecided. I found the number. 43.3% of voters are undecided. That's a lot. Coming this close. I mean, we're a month away from the primary,
and
man.
Early voting
starts next week. Yeah. Yeah. We are this close for that many to be undecided. Let me ask you this, because okay. So Shawn and I, it's important to know, I think Shawn is much more of a articles, right? He's very, very well read when it comes to all the news that's coming out. I'm much more of a, this is what the people say. I pay attention to X. I pay attention to Facebook. I read the comments. So he's more of a mainstream media-ish perspective, and I'm more of a people on the street perspective. Okay.
Which makes it interesting.
It does. It makes it very interesting. Okay, so here's my question, right? Do you believe that a Trump endorsement is a positive or a negative thing?
Depends
just
on
overall.
Overall?
Yeah, just overall right now.
Talking about,
there's more to the question.
Okay.
But yeah, but just let's talk specifically as far as the Indiana governor race. Do you believe that the Trump endorsement is why Braun is so far ahead? Let's start with that.
I think that's why 51% of the women are rejecting Braun. I was going to tell you that.
Oh, okay.
Because he rubs women, I want to say for the most part, not all women.
Okay.
The wrong way.
And you're talking Trump.
Okay.
That's an interesting theory. Okay.
But that could be why he's leading too.
It could be.
Double-edged sword.
It is. And that's what so here's my next question, right? There are those who claim that a Trump endorsement or the Trump point, right, is not so much this is a good person, but an opportunity or a signal to investigate that person.
Oh.
Have you heard that?
I have not.
Yeah. That's the big prevalent theory I hesitate to use the term, but for lack of a better one right now, the truther community, right? The conspiracy theorists, the autists, the anons, the whatever little classification you want to give them, the people that generally, talk on various social media, notwithstanding Telegram and Signal and Gab and Truth and all these places, right? The general consensus is that the Trump endorsement is a signal to learn more about that person.
That could be. I never heard that theory.
And here's the evidence, right? Okay. So that the evidence that they put forward is, if you remember from Trump's first term, many of the people that he worked with and many of the people that allegedly supported him flipped on him.
Yep.
I mean, look
the media likes to point that out.
Right.
Yes, I've seen that.
So if these people were on the up and up and they were good people, right? And every single aspect of this is the media and the legal system attacking them. I don't know, man. Like, we can all look at what's happening to Trump as far as the legal system goes and go, okay, that's some BS.
It is.
But every single one of them that worked there, that either, like, for example, okay, and I'm just gonna throw one out there. Michael Cohen, right? He flipped on Trump. Why did he flip on Trump? Because he was facing charges of his own. Now, I'm going to say this. It's very, very easy for people who have not been involved in the criminal justice system to say, oh, I'd never sign a deal. You have no idea what you would do until you're faced with it. I want to say that, because the full might of the justice system staring at you, that's a lot. It's a lot of pressure.
And I give Roger Stone a lot of credit because he never flipped on Trump.
He never flipped on Trump. Speaking of Stone, right?
Okay.
I wanted to mention this because I just saw this in a video that I watched, and I looked at it and into it, and it's true. So did you know that, first of all, you probably knew this. Did you know that Roger Stone has a big tattoo of Nixon on his back? Okay. I always wondered why, right? Why? First of all, why Nixon? Because he's not very popular, right? It turns out that Nixon won, and I don't know if you guys saw Tucker, he mentioned it on his show, the true history of Richard Nixon, right? And he was actually extremely popular.
Oh, yeah.
He won his election by a landslide.
He did.
So Roger Stone was actually really good friends.
I believe he was in his administration of some kind.
He was involved somehow.
I think he was an advisor. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he was involved somehow. After the whole thing went down, Richard Nixon actually communicated with Donald Trump. They were pen pals for a while. Yeah. And the connection between Nixon and Stone, and then Stone and Trump, is very, very interesting. Very interesting. But I digress.
And Trump has said, I don't know if you've seen this, part of the reason why he fights back so hard against people is because he feels that Richard Nixon would have survived if he would have attacked his people. Attacked those people when they were going after Nixon.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why
he fights so hard. Yeah. And I tend to agree. I think if Richard Nixon had taken the gloves off and pulled a Trump, for lack of a better term, he would have easily squashed that Watergate stuff. Did you also know that Hillary Clinton was found with Watergate documents? And that's the reason why she was fired. Actually, she was fired from the Watergate.
Oh, yeah. I think I've heard that before.
While they were in the White House, they found like documents from Watergate in her office. Yeah, in a drawer.
Wow, I never heard that part.
Yeah.
She was fired.
Yeah. There's a whole lot there, but allegedly, and it's important that I say allegedly, the whole Watergate thing came about because they were looking for blackmail evidence.
I've heard that.
That allegedly there were secret videotapes and stuff like that of various people in positions of power, and that they were looking for that evidence.
Were you born yet when Watergate happened?
I don't think so. When was Watergate?
72, 73. I think Watergate, the actual break-in happened in 72.
Okay,
but he had to resign in 74.
Yeah, 74 is when I was born.
Okay.
So yeah. There's a lot there. As a matter of fact, there's a video that I really want to play for you guys. But it's kind of long, so I think it should be its own deal. But back to the governor debate.
Okay.
We kind of got off track here. But the reason that I ask about the Trump thing, right, is there is a poll going around about the governor's race. And one of the questions on it is basically, how important is a Trump endorsement to you as far as voting, right? And so it got me to thinking, how do you guys feel? Is that kind of the stamp of approval that people seem to think it is? Or is it more of a, you guys should really learn more about this guy? That's
it. I'll be looking at things differently now. When I never thought of that.
I hadn't either. I had never really considered that. So it opened up some interesting questions for me. Okay. So All right, there we go. So that's basically the scenario going into this. Braun's way ahead, but it's anybody's race because it's so undecided. They all, give their little intro, etc. The first question that they ask, and this kind of sets the tone, and it told me a lot about the people that were up there. The first question was, what kind or type of leader would you be? Would you be more like Mitch Daniels?
Oh, yeah. I thought of you right away when I heard that question.
Yeah. More like Mitch Daniels, who drives specific legislative priorities, or more like Mike Pence, who basically lets the legislature do their thing and come up with their own legislative priorities. So my takeaway from that, first of all, it is infuriating to me to see these people continuously tout Mitch Daniels as some kind of success.
Oh, yeah.
The man is slime. He is absolute slime. And I can say that because he lied straight face to my wife. Flat out. She's told the story before. Yeah. Now, interestingly enough, everybody kind of, I won't say they hardballed it, but
they didn't answer.
None of them answered the question.
No.
Except one thing I did learn, and I'm not sure if it was a later question, but it was Chambers. Yeah. Chambers is a big fan of Mitch Daniels. He quoted, because his little ending statement was, we need a CEO to run the state. The last CEO to run the state was Mitch Daniels.
Yeah.
Well, that tells me all I need to know about you, dude. I see how Daniels acted, and look, regardless of the policies he may or may not be involved in, including selling off our toll road. Thank you very much. Privatizing our prisons, getting rid of the correctional officer union, a whole lot of stuff.
I didn't know about that one.
Oh yeah. Anyway, he kind of started the ball rolling on the whole privatization thing. I think it was actually finished under Pence. I'm not positive, but the whole thing just kind of came about because they sold the toll road, and then, hey, how can we cut funds? Stop spending so much. And I'm all for stopping spending so much, but they started looking at how to farm out various aspects of the prison, medical care, food, stuff like that. That's why we have these shitty companies in there that are serving food not fit for human consumption.
That's wrong.
Yeah, it is.
Should be in prison might be punished for what they did and stuff. But
exactly. They're
humane. You should be humane.
And it's funny because this is the same prison. I keep bumping this. Sorry. I keep thinking these are the same places, right, that we're paying for iPods and video game systems for inmates, but yet we can't serve them a real meal. How about we get rid of the iPods and the MP3 files that are free, and we feed them like humans, anyway. So Braun's big thing when he was asked that question was, he says he was a business owner on Main Street, which he keeps saying that, right?
That
repeatedly. Business owner on Main Street, business owner on Main Street. He ran as an outsider. Now, I'll say this. Here's what he said, and here's my interpretation, because I think this is important. He says he started 6 years ago where you had to earn your way to be a senator. Okay. Now, initially, that statement struck me very wrong, because I'm like, whoa, what are you talking about, my guy? Earn your way to be a senator. Earn it from who? And then I thought back to when I ran for U.S. Congress, and my local party told me I shouldn't run for Congress because you, quote, have not earned it.
I remember you telling me.
Yeah, you haven't hosted any $10,000 a plate dinners. I said, who in the hell can afford a $10,000 a plate dinner in LaPorte County, Indiana? There may be a handful of people, handful of people rich enough to drop 10 grand on a fundraiser. Maybe. Like, look, and not miss it. $10,000, even for rich people, that's a lot of money to dump on some political guy. You know what I mean? And the next question is, if you're going to pay that much, you're going to expect something.
Yeah.
You don't drop $10,000, and especially rich people, they don't drop $10,000 for nothing. There's got to be some tangible benefit there. So I was like, okay, maybe that's what he's talking about. The rest of them didn't really answer the question.
No.
To me. The biggest tell was the second question. The second question is, grade Governor Holcomb.
Oh yeah. I was going to mention that.
Yeah. Okay. Now this is important. I'm going to do Crouch at the end because I have the most to say about her.
I have stuff to say.
Yeah. Braun gave Holcomb a B-. I'm not loving that, but okay. All right. Chambers gave him an A across the board. They even asked him just for everything. Oh yeah. Yeah. For everything. Do not. And I don't tell people who to vote for ever. Please don't vote for this guy. Like, do not let this guy become the governor. It's going to be worse than Holcomb. This guy, it gets worse, but Doden, on the other hand, was an absolute coward.
Oh, yes.
Many questions he danced around. He didn't answer not one single question effectively, succinctly, or realistically. Not one.
Thought he was being slick.
Yeah, he thought he was. His words were very close to, I don't grade past leaders. I focus on the future.
Yeah.
He's a coward, an absolute coward. So Crouch. All right. So they asked Crouch, can you grade Governor Holcomb on his performance? Now, her answer was interesting. And I have to say kind of brave, honestly. Her response was an A for the most part, including the economy, a C for COVID.
Yeah.
What she immediately followed up with, once I'm governor, we will not have any mask mandates or shutdowns.
Any shutdowns, yes.
Yeah, no shutdowns or mask mandates. Now, that was smart. That was very smart because, in my opinion, one of the biggest things Crouch has kind of failed on is not distancing herself from the whole Holcomb situation. Hunker down Holcomb. That's what I call him. Hunker down Holcomb. She has not said, yeah, no, I think she did an effective job there at showing I'm not the same. At the same time, I would have liked to see a worse grade than C. I mean, this guy, I could go, you guys know, like if you live in Indiana, you know.
What I took it as was that she's feeling the heat on a campaign trail for that. So she didn't want to give him an A for his COVID thing, but she didn't want to completely give him an F either.
Okay.
So that's how I took that.
So you thought she was kind of straddling the fence. Okay. All right. I think that it was kind of brave because she's been the lieutenant governor now for, 8 years by the end of the term. It's an 8-year, right? 2 terms. She's close with Eric. I mean, they've worked together for a while, and she's done various things politically before she became lieutenant governor.
Wasn't she in this legislation?
She was in the legislation. Yeah, she was, I think, a state rep. She was also secretary of something at some point.
I think she's in agriculture.
I think so. Secretary of Agriculture. I don't really know much about her political history.
I only heard her for first time was when she became lieutenant governor.
Right. She's from Evansville, so it's not really that big of a stretch that we wouldn't have heard of her. We're on opposite ends of the state. So one of the things that I did find interesting, though, I can see your perspective, how it was kind of straddle the fence, right? An A and a C. But at the same time, I have to give credit because it could have been, it's very easy for her to say, no, I think you did a good job and move on.
True.
One thing that I think is really, really important though, that maybe people caught, maybe they didn't. All of these questions, right? Or all of the people that answered this question, especially the ones who gave Eric Holcomb an A for economy, not one of them mentioned his partnership with China.
That's true. Yeah.
Because that is one of the reasons why the economic numbers look so good, is because so many of these Chinese businesses are allowed to purchase land here and set up companies and do this and do that. So the numbers look much better, but these are not, in many cases, these are not direct benefit to Hoosiers. These are numbers that in many cases get transferred to China. So just something to, something to think about.
Point.
And not a single one of them said a word about it. And there are questions that were even more closely aligned to that. I forgot one. At one point, one of them talked about China buying land in the U.S. Not a single person mentioned Eric's close relationship with the Chinese. As a matter of fact, there was an article that was written, I think in 2020, where it talked about these governors that are friendly to the Chinese. And it was a short list that China had come up with, that these are the ones that we need to approach because they will sell their country out for us. Wow. And Eric Holcomb was near the top of the list.
That's scary.
Yeah. Did you know about that?
I did not.
Yeah. Look it up. Okay. So the next question was, and again, these people don't, like, for the most part, there's a lot of dancing around these questions. This question should have been super simple, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. The question was, if Trump wins, he has said he's going to do mass deportations of illegal immigrants. Do you support it? And would you use state resources to assist? It's a pretty straightforward question. It really is. Go ahead.
They didn't want the backlash from the media.
They did not want the sound bites.
No.
That's exactly what it is. These are people, I'm telling you, these are people who are thinking about the general election.
Yeah.
These are people who are afraid to tell you what they really think during the Republican primary because they're so worried about that general election where they know 40+% of people are undecided. Yeah. And well, that's just for primary. Like for the general, it's literally anyone's race. So now Crouch did say, one of the things she said that I actually liked was, we will pack them up and we'll ship them to sanctuary cities in other states. Basically the same thing Texas and Florida are doing. I'm not opposed to that. I'm really not opposed to that. And here's why. Because you people, and I'm talking about the people in these states who have voted for these far left policies and welcome these, quote, sanctuary cities, you have voted for this. You want these sanctuary cities. You want these migrants to be allowed to come across the border. So then take care of them, because we don't want that.
True. As long as the migrants agree to go, then that's fine. Because you got to be.
So you and I have a very different opinion on that.
You got to be very careful about.
Well, yeah, then it becomes human trafficking. And yeah, I hear what you're saying. Right. I get what you're saying. But at the same time, the Biden administration is perfectly okay with human trafficking as long as the cartels are doing it.
It depends who you are and what you like, what party you support.
Right. Yeah. If you're a Democrat, then it's perfectly okay for all this. Yeah, I get it. So Braun said he generally supported it. He pointed to Florida and Texas, and then tried to defend his record. So the reason why I mentioned that is because Chambers spent almost the entire time attacking Braun. Did you notice that? Like almost every single question he would try to turn into, but Braun, right? One of the things that he said, he blamed Braun and kept talking about the border and how he would wear out his welcome in D.C. talking about Chambers. Chambers said he would I'd wear out my welcome in DC. Doing what, my guy? Trying to, like, what the hell are you even talking about? He said that Braun basically didn't write any legislation and then had a political stunt at the border, and then said he wasn't going to sign the legislation, wouldn't support the legislation. And they're talking about the shitty border bill. That's what he was talking about. Braun missed an opportunity, in my opinion. Instead of trying to defend his border and talk about the stuff that he talked about. Yeah. And how trying to bring up anything in a Schumer-led Senate, in my opinion, huge fail. What he should have said was, if you sit down and read the bill, it is absolutely terrible. And no MAGA candidate, no red-blooded American, no Republican, no conservative would ever vote for this bill. And anyone who did is a traitor. That's what I'd have said. Of course, I'm not a senator. Yes, maybe there's a reason for that, because I tend to say what's on my mind. But Doden again, coward, completely avoided the question and said, we need to follow the rule of law. That was his response. I didn't remember what he said. And that we need to send, just like all of his other answers regarding drugs or anything, it was, we need to help addicted people.
He wasn't memorable in the debate at all.
No. Again, he dodged like everything. So the next question, number 3, was candidate specific. So Doden was asked, and I know why they did this, because you could see in his answer. See if you guys can pick it up. Doden was asked, and the reason they were candidate specific is because each candidate, basically they picked something from their campaign that needs more clarification, or that they could put them on the spot for. You'll see. So Doden was asked, should fentanyl dealers be given the death penalty? Now, the reason he was asked this question is because I think the guy's a pastor, or like super like Christian, like super Christian. So if you're so pro-life, right, and these fentanyl dealers are killing people, do you support the death penalty for them? His answer, it was very easy. It was very, very easy to forget this guy isn't already a politician, the way that he answered this question. He sidestepped it like usual and said, quote, will follow the rule of law, and, quote, give support to addicts. Now, he said that knowing damn good and well that currently it's not the law. That's why they're asking him if he would support implementation of it, right? Yeah. So not a fan. Not a fan at all. Doden and Chambers are right out. After that debate, I watched them. I didn't know much about either of them.
No, I only saw Chambers' commercial like once.
Yeah, I saw a couple of his. Oh, and that's another thing. So both of them claim to be outsiders, right? Yeah. Especially Chambers. That's his big thing. Outsider, right? This guy was the head of the EIDC. Or IEDC, Indiana Economic Development Commission. Yeah. And there were some questions that came up about that. But the other guy was as well. Both of them at one point have been the secretary or the head or whatever it is of that, which I found very, very interesting. So let's see where to go. Okay, so Braun was asked about qualified immunity and his stance and how it's changed. Now, a lot of people are going to say that he came off like wishy-washy and very, Before I say my take on it, what do you think about how he answered that question?
I'm trying to remember how he answered it. How did he answer it?
So that was the question where he had said, at the time, I thought that it needed to be strengthened, talking about qualified immunity. But the law enforcement agencies that support me and endorsed me said, if we mess with it, we might mess it up. So the best bet is just to leave it alone. And so he said, and that's what I did.
I think that's a good answer. What do you think about it?
That's that. Yeah. So it's very easy to look at it and think that it's kind of wishy-washy, but my translation of it was essentially, I wanted to help LEOs, law enforcement officers, but they said, don't mess with it. It might make it worse. So I listened to them, because that was the whole point. That was the entire audience for that, was law enforcement, in order to protect them from frivolous lawsuits.
Yeah.
We're not talking about constitutional immunity.
Violations.
Yeah. I'm not talking about rights violations. We're talking frivolous lawsuits. Same, like the prison doesn't have qualified immunity. So when I first started working there, COs, they don't get qualified immunity. When you first start working there, they sit you down and they tell you, you're going to spend a lot of your time in court, because these inmates will sue you for anything and everything. It's to prevent that, because cops have to go to court all the time anyway, in order to testify, in order to, do their tickets and get this and get that. You already do a lot of work off the clock as a police officer. That's just the way that it is. It's to qualified immunity is to prevent that. Is there room for improvement?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
But I agree that if they mess with it, they could really make it.
And that was the general takeaway. So I'm gonna do Crouch at the end, because it's a little complex and I got to give a backstory. So Chambers was asked. So one of his ads is, the career politicians feed you a steady diet of stale sound bites, dysfunction, and the same lousy results. So they said, okay, who are you calling stale? And predictably, his answer was, you remember? Braun.
Braun.
Yeah. He's like, who are you talking about? Oh, I'm talking about Braun.
Should have known.
Should have known. Like I said, he spent the whole time attacking Braun. There was nothing to be gleaned there. It was the same BS. Okay, so Crouch was asked. Now, there was $1 billion shortfall.
Oh, yeah.
In FSSA, Family and Social Services Administration. Basically, the Medicaid office. The question was, what happened and what could the administration have done to prevent it? Now, she only has 60 seconds. And in my opinion, that was not enough time to properly answer this question, because it's easy to look at a government agency like FSSA and say, well, the governor's in charge. But the way that this stuff is set up, again, we have unelected bureaucrats that make devastating decisions for many, many, many people in this state. And FSSA is a prime example of that. What she did say was, she's the only one who has asked any questions about it. She's the only candidate that's ever addressed it. She's the only candidate that has attempted to do anything about it. She formed a task force and is looking into it, because she's not in charge of the FSSA. They're their own little individual group of people that. But I will say this, as far as the special needs community, Suzanne Crouch is she's the only choice. And that's just my personal opinion. The caregivers, the people who care about that, she is all on board for that community. So the next one was about IVF, and it was kind of meh. I'll say this. All of them said they were pro-choice. All of them were kind of meh on it.
You mean pro for IVF? You said pro-choice.
Well, or sorry, yeah, it's pro-life. Sorry. They're all pro-life. Yeah.
Okay.
Good catch. Good catch. Yeah. All the governor candidates say they're pro-life. What I meant by choice is the ability to have IVF and do that. But I did misspoke. Great catch. In my opinion, Crouch answered it the best. I got to give credit where it's due. She had a great statement and answer. It was very strong. And she focused on the pain of women and couples that want to conceive but can't. The target audience of IVF. Smart. Well done on that. And they tried to get her. I say get her, but they asked all these candidates, and every single one of them except Crouch did a full-on dodge. And that was, do you believe are embryos living children? All the other candidates dodged. They really did. She answered in a very interesting and very intelligent way. What she said essentially was, it's a matter of belief. I believe that life starts at conception. A lot of people believe life starts at the first heartbeat. Other people believe life starts da-da-da. And that was it. Well done.
Yeah,
that was a great answer. So the next question is, would you support gas tax cuts? Now, this one was very telling. What do you think?
I wish that she'd be realistic, Crouch, about this, that eventually you can't get, was this the one with she said she wanted, or is this the income tax where she said she wants to get rid of it?
Well, yeah, it started, the question was about the gas tax, but she conveniently pivoted towards her campaign slogan, Axe the Tax, which is in regards to income tax.
But I think there has to be a tax of some kind because you got to fund the government. I'm always worried about, I want low taxes, but I don't know if it's realistic to completely get rid of the income tax eventually.
So there are multiple states in the union that have no income tax.
That's true.
And they do perfectly fine.
But they also have a lot of travelers, a lot of people going to their state.
So do we. We're the crossroads of America. You have it's unbelievable how much traffic we have coming through this state. I-65, I-80, I-94, I-69, I-465. I can name off I-70. There are many interstates that intersect Indiana. And we have a vast amount of visitors passing through and stopping for supplies, right? My issue with any and all taxes, a government is only there, to defend the rights of its citizens, to protect its citizens. That's its entire purpose. Once again, Indiana has a $2 billion surplus, which means we are being overtaxed.
True.
That's the end of the story.
Having the taxes low.
Yeah.
But I don't like it being zero.
So you don't like a tax-free society? And you call yourself a Republican. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with No. Everyone has a different. My computer just did something weird. It looks like it's all right. Everybody has a different aspect and a different opinion about taxes. I am for government being involved as little as possible. I will say this: if we did not have all of these ridiculous programs going on and all of this money that's being shuffled to all these different places, we wouldn't need so many taxes.
True. We need a balanced budget amendment for the feds, though, for the federal government.
We need that everywhere. Absolutely. But here's the.
Okay. Anyway, let's get back.
Yeah. Would you support gas tax cuts? So Crouch, she didn't directly say yes. None of them directly said yes. But what she did say is potentially, I would be potentially in favor of reducing or eliminating any tax. And then she launched into her campaign slogan, which is Axe the Tax. And that's for the income tax. Braun, to his credit, I got to give him credit, was unabashedly, yep, I voted for the tax increase because that was, which I'm going to get to Chambers in just a second, but that was Chambers' point. Braun voted for this tax increase when he was in the Indiana legislature. Braun said, I voted for it. I own it. Not in those exact words, but essentially, yeah, he's like, I voted for it. According to him, everybody loves it, which I call bullshit. I don't know who this group is. He talks about this crossroads group that's supposed to be like a liaison between the government and the people. And they were against it at first, but they love it now. I don't know who he's talking about.
Where they created the new wheels tax, right? That certain communities can have a wheels tax.
No, they're talking about the wheels tax. Wheel tax is different than this. This is where we have the sliding scale on the gas tax,
Okay.
where it
Depending
goes
on
up
inflation.
when it's, depending on the price of gas and inflation, it's adjustable.
Okay.
It is now the highest tax we've ever had in the state of Indiana. So Braun claims that everybody loves it now and says we have phenomenal infrastructure. This claim was made by both Braun and Chambers, which I think is really interesting and important because check this out. So, okay, that was weird.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's back though. Yeah, for some reason, my the other camera had a glitch, but he's back. So welcome back.
Right.
Chambers, he talks about how Braun voted for it, calls it the highest increase in Indiana history, but then turned around and celebrated Indiana's infrastructure, claiming we were number one in the nation in like 2020 or 2022, which it sounds like bullshit to me. That absolutely sounds like crap. But I have driven the interstates. You want to talk about crappy roads? I-94 in Northwest Indiana is abysmal.
Yes.
It is abysmal. It's terrible. You will rattle a filling loose on that thing. And it's not just I-94. We're talking our state roads, our U.S. highways, our county roads. Like, we have a few good roads in LaPorte County. There are a few. But the majority of our roads are not great. Like, not at all. And I think it's interesting that Chambers would criticize Braun for the gas tax, but then celebrate our infrastructure being so phenomenal. Are you looking that up?
I am.
He's like, I call bullshit. I'm looking that up.
Oh, CNBC ranked it.
They did.
Yeah, CNBC.
CNBC made the claim that Indiana was first in infrastructure during what period?
It's in the 2022
America's
top state for business.
So, okay. Top state for business.
Okay, so it was recently ranked number one in the United States for infrastructure in CNBC's 2022 America's Top States.
Okay, interesting. So according to CNBC, that's the case, which I'm going to tell you, I live here and I've driven trucks here. Like, I've driven semis. 10 years I did that, 1 million miles, all safe, 100% on time rating. I know what the hell I'm talking about.
You want the link?
Sure. These roads suck. I would hate to see who's dead last because, dude, like, it's insane. So even just taking like 2, right? You take Highway 2, or not 2, 12. Highway 12 going past the steel mills. That used to be horrible. They recently repaved that, and it's way better now. But like, it's insane how like terrible it is. So
I sent the link if you want to.
Okay, yeah, I'll show them real quick. Let's see here. All right, so
it's Indy Stars, so I don't know if there's going to be a paywall.
There probably will, but we'll find out. Okay, let's see. Believe it or not, Indiana ranked number 1 on CNBC's list of top states for infrastructure. Yeah, where's this list? That's what I want to see. It's a bunch of words. I don't see any. I was looking for like the rankings, but according to this, you know what? Okay. One of Indiana's biggest strengths in this category is its freight shipping capacity, which is among the best in the country, CNBC special correspondent Scott Combs said via email. Part of that is because the state is strategically located with more than 110 million people within a day's drive. That's what it is. In the infrastructure category, CNBC's researchers look at the volume of goods transported, road conditions, the quality and availability of broadband, work commutes, access to key business markets, condition of drinking water and wastewater systems, and sustainability against increased extreme weather risks due to climate change. So,
do you want the full ratings? I found it.
Nah, that's all right. We may touch on that another day. We're gonna finish this debate. I'm like halfway through it.
Okay.
I'm gonna speed up a little bit because let's see. Let me get back to it. Okay. And to be honest, we're on like the last bit of stuff that's like important anyway, because the rest of it's a bunch of dodging. Doden, when he was asked the question about would you support the gas tax cut, once again he pivoted. Quote, we'll work with the legislature to study that. Yeah. That's once again more studies, more committees.
What the government does.
What the government, thank you.
They
love those studies and committees.
And investigating themselves.
Yes.
Nothing wrong.
One interesting thing, Doden chose this opportunity to bring up his campaign slogan, which is the property tax. He wants the property tax eliminated, or at least reduced with a cap or something, which I seem to remember there being a cap already, which the local people keep complaining about the cap that's on. So, well, I say the local people, the local government, they want more money. Yeah. Local people are very happy about it. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Let me clarify but one interesting note, he kept mentioning seniors, right? He wants to reduce property tax for seniors because seniors. It was actually looked into, I forget exactly when, but a time in the fairly recent past, they were looking to actually give tax breaks to veterans.
Yep.
You can't. Why can't you? Because it's against the Indiana Constitution. It's very, very clear. All laws have to affect everyone equally. There cannot be special groups. That includes veterans, seniors, ugly people, like whatever. No, just because you're hideous, you don't get a tax break. I'm sorry. Sorry, Martha. No, I'm just.
One of the things I found interesting, I don't know if it's on your thing, but
okay,
was about legalizing marijuana.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it was on
we're getting there. The number 6 was, should Indiana unify time zones? Basically, they all said the same thing. People are tired of moving their clocks. It'd be nice if it was one time zone, but as far as like importance of issues, it's pretty far down there, guys. Like it really is. It's already been into the Indiana House and Senate and couldn't get passed because there's not enough interest. People didn't blow up their phones the way they do about other issues. Number 7, and this is very, very telling. The issue was basically Indiana surrounded by states that have legalized cannabis. Yeah. If you want to call it marijuana, call it that. It's cannabis. So the reason that this is the case is because Holcomb and the legislature have gone on record saying once the federal government changes their laws, then we'll look at it. They're cowards. The other reason is because we need to study that.
Yeah.
I can't even count the number of studies that have been done and the number of positive results. It's even like having effects on cancer now, reducing cancer and like all kinds of crazy stuff for cannabis. I'll let you give your thoughts
about
first.
The disconnect between the people and then those people running, because it's a strong majority of people want to legalize marijuana.
Yeah, and I will tell you, that's one of the things, honestly, that really concerns me, because it's important to people.
Yeah.
Like really important to some people who are suffering with daily chronic pain or other, like there's tons of conditions that it helps for, various nerve pains.
Know somebody that it helps for them to smoke marijuana.
Yeah. I know people personally that deal with chronic pain, and like the Delta 9 really helps. Delta 8 helped a little. The stuff with actual THC, and I'm not talking about the stuff that gets you all zonked. I'm talking about basically medication, essentially, with a hint, like 10% or less of THC, and it brings up the effectiveness, and it really, really helps them. So every single one of these people were opposed to, well, let me be clear. They were all opposed to recreational legalization. Okay. Doden, let me talk about Doden. He was opposed to both. Flat out, no way, big shot.
Was it Crotch too?
Yes.
Okay.
Chambers said, and interestingly enough, and this is what's really funny. Excuse me. This is what's really funny to me is Chambers talked about how he's constantly being asked that question. When he's out on the campaign trail, people are talking to him about it. They're asking him questions about it, this and that, and this and that. And then the only thing he would say is that, yeah, I'd potentially be open to medical. That's it. So you have had all of these people talking about this subject, and that's the best you got? Really?
I don't get what the big deal is of doing. I'm for it being legalized for recreation, just like alcohol.
Yeah. Here's my thing. And this is what a lot of the comments were you guys are okay with cigarettes and alcohol. You guys, we finally got around to selling alcohol on Sundays, but we sell it there. And I think it was a further question, or maybe it was about the border, but one of them said marijuana sometimes laced with fentanyl. I think it was Braun.
At this point, yes.
Yes.
That was Braun.
So I want you to follow this thought train here. Okay. So if you're finding marijuana laced with fentanyl, then doesn't it stand to reason that some sort of process where, I don't know, where it's like designed in a lab and there are quality controls and wait, isn't that legalization?
Yes. Exactly what I was.
Is that the point you were going to make? Yeah. It's so stupid. Like I looked at the TV and I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Yeah, because sometimes it's laced with fentanyl and it's really, really dangerous. Yeah, because you're buying it from Chucky on the street.
Uh-huh.
If you go to these stores, anyway, we all know.
Regulations.
Yeah, there's regulations in place. There's rules and laws. So Crouch, she used this opportunity to say she is vehemently opposed to legalization in any form, recreational or medicinal, because her mom was an addict, her dad was an addict, her uncle was an addict, her brother's an addict. Yeah, her sister, like her entire family were addicts. Now, I am not hating because my mother was a drug addict and an alcoholic. My father was an alcoholic. Like, I get it. But that's not a reason.
No.
Especially considering cannabis is not addictive.
No.
They have done study after study after study. There is no addictive quality to cannabis whatsoever. Oh my God. Like, I'm like, oh.
You and me both.
Standard GOP talking point, reefer madness stupidity. If you guys don't know what reefer madness is, look it up. It's a movie that was made, I want to say like the 60s or 70s. I think it was the 70s because it was when like the free love movement was really taking off. So late 60s to early 70s, but it may have been before. It's a movie called Reefer Madness, and it's so pure propaganda, anti-cannabis. I've never seen anything in my life. It's filled with blatant falsehoods. Like cannabis causes hallucinations. Like you're going to kill your dog. Like nutso stuff.
You're going to go insane.
You're going to reefer madness. That's why it's called reefer madness, because if you partake in cannabis, you're going to go crazy. It's insane. Okay. The next question is kind of localized. It was about the town of Andrews, Indiana. And I guess they're having problems with their water.
I never heard this.
I'm not familiar with it. I will say most candidates just gave it lip service and used it to push something else. Crouch, on the other hand, to what?
Oh, she didn't just give it.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, most candidates just kind of did that. But Crouch was the only one that actually addressed it.
She did.
And gave a solid, this is what we can do. kind
and
of thing.
say to contact me if you need help.
Yeah, and actually said, look, I will guide you through the process of getting the help that you need. She's the only one, so I got to give her props there.
She did.
The last question was, do you support an independent audit of IEDC, which is the Indiana Economic Development Commission? So what's really interesting, telling, and important is that every single candidate, with the exception of Chambers, supports an audit of the IEDC, an independent audit. Crouch said, I support an audit of all of our government agencies. Braun was, yeah, I do. Doden basically looked at the people's faces and said, that looks good. Yeah, that guy. Chambers goes, oh, we already do audits. Yeah, we, the government, have investigated ourselves and discovered that we did nothing wrong. It's an inside audit. They audit themselves currently, and it's why there's so many problems with the IEDC, because they are responsible for multi-million dollars of taxpayer money, and they pick and choose who benefits. They, like, for example, they'll give big tax breaks to this business or help this corporation set up in Indiana, and then little places, to hell with you. And it's been one of the big problems, especially under Brad Chambers, was he was actually accused of helping his buddies out.
Really?
Yeah, I got, as a matter of fact, I may have the link to that. No, it was, Doden had his own issues with that, by the way. Doden, yeah, not Chambers. Okay, so here's my overall takeaway from it. We'll go one candidate at a time. Okay. All right. Chambers. What do you think? Before the debate, let's say your opinion was here, right?
Oh, okay.
Did it go up or down after the debate? Down.
It went down.
It went down. Okay. So you think he had a poor performance in the debate. Okay. All right. Definitely down on me. Like, I mean, crash and burn. I really didn't know that much about him beforehand. I was trying to get him on the show, but none of these guys ever answered, by the way. And for those of you who don't know this, Shawn generally handles booking for the show. He is the one that reaches out to many, many, many of these candidates to ask them, hey, come on the show. Not a single one has gotten back to him. Governor candidates, I might add, with the exception of Jamie Rittenauer, who was on the show, although that came about a whole different way. But so, yeah, I was trying to get him on the show so I could learn more about him, and I didn't know that much. Now I know enough to be absolutely certain I don't want to vote for him. What about Doden?
Yeah, that went down too.
Yeah. He was really being talked up by a couple of people that I know. Oh man, Doden, he's this, he's that, he's, whatever, right? Just fill in your adjectives. I thought he did a terrible job at the debate. I mean, just absolutely terrible. He dodged, he rode the fence.
It's all Braun's fault.
Yeah, well, Chambers was the one that kept blaming Braun for everything. That's the other thing. Like, the two are interchangeable.
Yes.
They really, really are. There is no good separation between Chambers and Doden as far as I'm concerned. Braun.
The same.
Went down?
No, the same.
Oh, the same opinion.
I never really liked him.
Yeah, you don't like Braun anyway.
No, I don't.
So, in my opinion, he had some strong moments and some weak moments. He obviously supports law enforcement, but I think he's short on real ideas. Not just ideas, but like firm support for the citizens of the state. He comes across as very, whatever law enforcement tells me to do. No, because that's not your job, dude. Like, your job is to defend the Constitution of Indiana and protect the sovereignty of our state against the federal government. You have absolute power in our state. Yes, Indiana's governor is weak compared to other states, but in the state of Indiana, you are the absolute authority. You have more power than the federal government. Braun doesn't want to use that power. He comes across as very milquetoast, very wishy-washy, very well, basically whatever my legal advisor tells me. I want somebody with a spine. I want somebody, and I'm going to be honest, man, nobody in the Republican ticket strikes me as having a big enough or strong enough spine to stand up the way we need them to, because we're seeing federal overreach every time we turn around. So let's see here. Chambers, he spent the entire time attacking Braun, sidestepping real questions. I have some real concern in some areas. He comes across as a typical billionaire wanting to help the rich. He's like a billionaire, Chambers is. And when he was asked about his time at the IEDC and how he's accused of basically helping his friends, his answer was essentially, well, that's how you do it. You remember that?
Yes.
He was basically like, it's, trickle down economics, right? You help this mega corporation with a tax break in this county and they're going to employ people. What about the small businesses that are trying to get, he doesn't care. I'm telling you, he does not care about you. Small businesses, regular citizens. All of the candidates failed in one aspect or another, but Doden, absolute coward, pure coward, refused to answer some very important questions. The ones he did answer, he did so in a pathetic roundabout way. He's pathetic and weak, and I do not want to see him as our governor. Crouch. I think it took guts, not a lot, but some, to give Eric a C and proclaim that there was going to be no mass or lockdowns under her administration.
Her separating herself from
which she desperately needed to do. She gave some very strong answers in a couple of areas, but very, very disappointed in her cannabis answer. Very disappointed. But again, the Indiana governor is weak compared to other states. The legislature passes it. All you need is a simple majority to override a veto. Simple majority. So it's not up to them. I understand focusing on these questions and asking the answer to them, but it's not up to the governor whether they support legalization. It's just not. It's up to the state legislature. And you guys have got to start voting in people who believe in it, who are not far left, which is hard to find. I get it, but we have to start educating our people. We got to start educating our representatives and teaching them
that it's not scary to legalize marijuana.
Exactly. Let's see here. I'm looking for some stuff that I want to show you about the conspiracy theory we talked about.
Okay.
Let's see here. Okay, this was interesting, but not what I was looking for. Okay, so there's one. Okay, hold on. I'm looking for another one because this is the one. Let's just do this because it may not be in there. Let's see. Oh, hold on.
Are they going to do another? Is there another debate, or was that the last one?
I'm not sure if there's another one or not. Where? How do I find? There we go. No, that's that. I don't want
Nope,
that.
that's us.
Right. That's not what I was looking. That's not what I'm looking for. Hold on. Here, let's just do this.
I think early voting starts April 9th, I want to say. Am I right, Dion?
That sounds right. Yeah. Let's see.
It's probably going to be between Braun
and here it is. Okay.
Crotch.
So this is, we probably won't need audio, but if we do, I'll fix it. So let me show you guys something here because it's very, very interesting. All right. So we're talking about the Baltimore bridge thing, right? Now, one of the weirdest things is that there was allegedly a series of hoax distress calls. Did you hear about this?
I did not.
That began February 17th near Baltimore. Okay. And maybe it's nothing, but it is weird, right? Less than a week ago, this was on March 26th from Cat the Great. Less than a week ago, the U.S. Coast Guard said they were investigating a series of hoax distress calls that began February 17th near Baltimore. They said at least 16 hoax calls were transmitted and, quote, consist of an individual calling out for help with no location or description of their vessel or nature of distress. At least 16 of them.
Wow.
And like there's, I mean, I could let you hear, but it's literally just like what sounds like an old guy going, help, help.
That is really weird.
Anybody out there help? Is there anybody out there help? Anybody out there help?
Help, help. Is there anybody out there help? That's what it's
really weird.
That is bizarre, right? Okay. Is that proof of anything? Absolutely not. But I did find it really weird. I said this is odd and extremely suspicious. This compounds the intrigue surrounding the recent tragedy involving the Key Bridge. So this is that whole numbers thing that I was telling you about, right? Okay. Now again, I can't say there's incontrovertible proof of anything here, but it's certainly very, very interesting. I suppose it depends on how much you believe in coincidence, right? So this Brother Berg at Extra Capsa said the key unlocks the gate. Well, turns out in San Francisco's Golden Gate Park, there's a monument to Francis Scott Key beside an inverted black pyramid, which was also deliberately toppled 33 months after Key's statue in Baltimore was vandalized. Okay, odd, but okay. The Key Bridge collapsed exactly 33 weeks after the city of Baltimore's birthday. 3 years, 3 months after Baltimore's mayor took office, and 3 years, 3 days after the Ever Given got stuck in the Suez Canal. Do you remember that?
I do.
911 days after that ship's completion.
Weird.
Right? Right? Okay. The Key also collapsed 9 years, 11 weeks after the christening of the Dali ship, and 91 years, 11 weeks after construction began on the Golden Gate Bridge, which Dali also drew, which will be 33,333 days later, the day after the eclipse happens on the mayor's birthday. The Key Monument in San Francisco was replaced by 350 sculptures honoring enslaved Africans, which just so happened to look a lot like black mirrors atop of Tesla coils. It was unveiled Juneteenth of 2021, or 33 months before the Key Bridge collapse. Now, I don't know if you're aware, like, are you up on the whole like 33 degree Mason stuff?
No.
Okay. So the theory, right, is that the Freemasons are an evil organization, okay? That the members, though, the normal people that you meet that happen to be part of your community, they have no idea, right? Only the top echelon know. This is the claim. I'm not saying this. I'm not a Freemason. I have no idea. No way to know. But the claim is that you have 32 ranks of Mason, right? And then there's a secret or top 33rd degree, okay? Because they're called degrees, right? Like that's their ranks. So 33rd degree, there's like number stuff that goes into that, but apparently all of the stuff that the Masons are responsible for, there's keys hidden in the numerology of it. And they're like very involved. You may or may not know this. The majority of our founding fathers were a part of the Freemasons. Yep. That's just how it is. You can, like, whether you believe they're good, evil, or whatever, it's an indisputable fact that most of them were involved in some way or another. So there is more. Baltimore equals 888 or 888 and was founded on 88, like the 88 keys on a piano. And the key bridge collapsed at the 88th minute of an 8-day and a day shy of 1,888 months, 8 days after the founding of the Grand Lodge of Maryland Masonic Temple. F. Key, talking about Francis Scott Key, owned 8 slaves and married someone from the Octagon House. The Key Bridge opened 88 years, 8 months after Key's monument was unveiled in Golden Gate Park in 1888. And the bridge collapsed a span of 17,170 days after it opened. You could maybe reduce that to an 88, but modern Freemasonry began in 1717. And for a final note on the dream theme, remember that theater shootout scene in Tenet, which became reflected into reality a few days ago? The audience is unconscious and fast asleep while everything is happening right around them. The first step is opening your eyes. Maybe try that key trick of Dali's.
I don't know, but that's interesting.
It's weird, right? I'm not saying that it's anything.
But that's interesting.
But it is interesting. And one thing that I found consistently is, and I don't understand it. I'll be the first to, I don't, the whole gematria thing and how these numbers go together. And like, apparently you can reduce everything in the numbers and you'll see like, just for example, this isn't accurate, so don't try to run with it, but just as a, for example, Trump will be reelected equals X number, right? They'll take that and they'll take a whole bunch of other stuff and reduce them down to their number value, and it all lines up, right? So it's this big, like, numerical thing that just allegedly this equals this, and I know what it comes from. So gematria itself is ancient, and it comes from Greek, I think, maybe.
It almost seems supernatural.
Oh, yeah, almost. Let's see here. Let's look up origin of gematria.
Crazy.
Okay, so yeah, so it looks like Greek, geometria, then the Aramaic and English. Okay, so gematria is a combination of multiple words. The Hebrew word gematria was derived from the Greek word geometria or geometry, though some scholars believe something else. That's from Wikipedia, who knows. So let's see here. The Jewish link says, when did we first use gematria? Saul was 1 year old when he began to reign. If you look at this, yeah, this is a lot of stuff I don't know about. So we're just going to go back.
Good idea.
Yeah, okay, here's study.com. So I got to be a study.com member. I don't care enough for that. Here's Britannica. Okay, so gematria from Britannica says the substitution of numbers for letters of the Hebrew alphabet, a favorite method of exegesis used by medieval Kabbalists to derive mystical insights into sacred writings or obtain new interpretations of the text. Some condemned its use as mere toying with numbers, but others considered it a useful tool, especially when difficult or ambiguous texts otherwise failed to yield satisfactory analysis. Genesis 28:12, for example, relates that in a dream, Jacob saw a ladder, Hebrew salam, stretching from earth to heaven. Since the numerical value of the word salam is 130, 60 plus 30 plus 40, the same numerical value of Sinai, which is 60 plus 10 plus 50 plus 10, exegetes concluded that the law revealed to Moses on Mount Sinai is man's means of reaching heaven. Of the 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, the first 10 are given number values consecutively from 1 to 10. The next 8 from 20 to 90 in intervals of 10, while the final 4 letters equal 100, 200, 300, and 400, respectively. More complicated methods have been used, such as employing the squares of numbers or making a letter equivalent to its basic value plus all numbers preceding it. So I wanted to tell you guys what it was because, like, there's not really good information out there. And part of the problem that I've had is when these people try to share this information, there's no explanation. It's literally blah equals blah, right? So, Trump will be reelected equals 432, for example, right? Again, these are not accurate. I'm throwing stuff out for examples. And then like Easter Sunday equals 430, whatever, right? All this stuff equals, so it's all connected. I just see
Yeah.
just words and numbers. I don't know what any of that means. Like, what are you trying to say?
Show us your work.
Thank you. And it's the same thing that I ask of these politicians that claim like this policy or that policy is going to be good for us, right? Show us your work. Where are you pulling that from? The White House press secretary, for example, has a great, wonderful, exceptional habit of just pulling data out of her ass. Just these studies that don't exist and the claims that there's no data to back up. We don't want that.
She's probably the worst press secretary I've ever seen.
Oh my God, man. Yeah. KJP. Yeah. It's atrocious. Yeah. So that's where we're at. I don't know, but I as far as the Baltimore bridge thing, right? But I will say this, there was a barge that crashed into another bridge, this time, I believe in Arkansas. Let me look that up.
I have not heard that.
Let's see here. It's yep, Arkansas River Bridge 1 day ago. Here, I'll show you. AP News, Oklahoma State Patrol says it is diverting traffic after a barge hit a bridge. They got the video on it.
Weird.
Yeah.
And the media has not been paying
There,
attention.
yeah, there's not much about it. I happen to run across. Now, you want to talk real conspiracy theories?
Okay.
I learned about it on TikTok.
Oh, interesting.
A lot of the things that I find out come from TikTok because my wife, I use X and Facebook and Truth and a couple other ones, right? The wife watches TikTok. And all the time she's like, hey, check this out. And it's information that I did not know about. What does the government want to ban?
TikTok.
Wow. I'm death ban. I'm death ban. So, is that the be all end all? Of course not. Right. But there was also a big fire where was that big fire at? It just happened.
Today?
Lomita. Here it is. Massive structure fire in. Oh, there's a Benton Heights home destroyed in massive fire in South Bend.
Oh.
Go! You see that?
That's a huge fire.
Oh my goodness, dude. That's massive. 2200 block of Laurel Avenue. Interesting. But there was a huge, let's see here. Is this it? Yeah, in LA. A massive structure fire in Lomita.
How long ago?
This was streamed 23 hours ago.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that either.
And then there's other stuff, but that's the main ones. And I'll say this, if our government wants us to believe that the bridge thing, right, was simply an accident, then why are 2 minutes missing of the black box, which let me show you guys where you can learn more about that.
Yeah, the mainstream media has not
No,
talked about that.
no, they haven't said a word about
Not
that.
even Fox.
Let's see here. So this was very recent. See, interestingly enough, the closest that I'm finding is like 2 and 3 days ago. There was an NTSB. Hold on. You know what? Nah. Okay, so yeah, these are all like 4 days ago, 3 days ago. This one I just saw today, and I can't find it on Google, interestingly enough, but I watched it, and the lady from the NTSB said, we're looking at 2 years of investigation, and there are 2 minutes missing from the black box, and it's during that time.
That is
the black box has its own power supply. Like there is no reason whatsoever for there to be missing data in that black box. None. That's its entire freaking point.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I can't find it on Google right now, but it's there. I will have to find it via another means. Let's see here. Hold on. Time. Let me try something else. Missing from Dolly. Okay, so this is just a breakdown, and it's not saying this is all from several days ago. This is very recent. So you know what, that personally, I think that someone deleted it.
That could be.
That's my take, because the black box itself is almost impossible to turn off. Like there's ways that you can do it, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm not seeing it, but if you guys can find it, let me know.
I'll look for it too.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to dig in to the stuff that I have. Wait, here it is. Okay. Now this is a guy on X, but okay. He claims here, let me show you.
Okay. I remember.
Okay, so according to him, Dali's ship's black box missing 2 minutes of data right before it crashed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Coincidence? Power loss? Cyber attack? He said, I can't believe y'all are missing the chance to blame DEI on the failure of the black box. He said, black box. Good point. So, yeah, I'll have to watch this. It's like 5 minutes long. I'm not gonna.
I found what you're looking for.
Did you? Okay.
About the missing 2 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Does it talk about it?
I will send it to you.
Okay.
Right now. You gotta go down further.
Okay.
It's not at the top, but you have to go down a little bit.
Okay, let's find it. 6 unanswered questions.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Why is there 2 minutes of missing black box audio? Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have a quote official source. WFOR News out of, I have no idea where they're out of, but there we go. Okay, so it says NTSB Chair Jennifer Homedy noted the ship's VDR is a basic system compared to an aircraft's black box, providing only a, quote, snapshot of the major systems on a vessel. She said the agency has long wanted more information to be recorded. Okay, why only a snapshot of the major systems on the vessel? The ship's black box has the same job as a jet's black box, to record all data, voice communication, and also monitor all of the ship's engineering sensors. It records the engineering and electronic non-human brains of the ship's activities. According to a Fox News video, a representative from NTSB reported that 2 minutes of, quote, black box sensor data is missing. As ship alarms went off, 2 minutes of sensor data was not recorded, but audio recording remained due to redundant power backup. One would ask, why didn't the redundant power back up the sensor recording as it did back up the human voice recording?
That's really bizarre.
It's a very, very good question asked by apparently real reporters.
Yeah.
How can you have...
And you said that the black box usually has its own independent
power supply.
So
Yeah.
they
like,
shouldn't have, that doesn't make...
That's what I thought anyway. So this is interesting. It says, is the ship's computer... Is the ship computer susceptible to being hacked? There is no proof of this at this time that anything was hacked. But if you Google any form of this question, they will remind you that you're nuts for asking. Former 60 Minutes reporter Lara Logan gets called that a lot, but that's not stopping her from asking the tough questions, like the next one. Doesn't the ship have a backup engine? According to the ship's captain, his ship has a backup engine that automatically kicks in when the main engine fails. Logan shared this video on her X account. Add to that, the cargo on that ship carries millions and millions of dollars of goods. Yeah. If you guys had, like, if you don't know, container ships, like multi-million dollars worth of stuff, because it's all different kinds of things. Everything from automobiles to computers to you name it, it's in a container somewhere. The cargo company must insure the goods. What insurance company would insure a ship company that has no backup systems? Yeah.
This is really weird.
Could tugboats have diverted the Baltimore bridge collapse? According to USA Today, tugboats did navigate the Dali from the port as it moved to the open sea, but they broke away before the massive ship navigated under the bridge, as is common practice. Minutes later, the Dali appeared to lose power and propulsion, sending the craft adrift and directly into one of the bridge's support columns. The steel truss Baltimore Bridge immediately collapsed into the frigid Patapsco River. Who will pay for this? The U.S. government immediately announced that it will pay the millions in damage. Reporter Cheryl Atkinson asked a very smart question. Isn't the shipping company responsible for this Baltimore Bridge damage? Freaking thank you. Hello, McFly. I heard that and I'm like, are you out of your freaking mind, dude? And we know the answer is yes. You know, whoever's in charge of him told him, you know, the U.S. government's going to pay. But yeah, come on, man.
Why not? We pay for everything else.
Right. So, and then it moves into, you know, top mistakes that can get you hacked. These are some exceptional questions, and I'm glad someone is asking them. Accident or attack. As of today, there have been no reports or evidence support anything other than engine and systems failure that caused this accident. But with this bridge and port being responsible for more than $80 million of goods shipped through each year, the pressure is on for real answers on why this bizarre event happened. With the preliminary NTSB press conferences sharing early data, there are some unanswered questions that must be answered. Why hasn't a pilot been named? Now, that's a good question, too. It's been almost 4 days and we have heard nothing about the pilots of the Singaporean flagged cargo ship named the Dali. Where are they from? What is their experience? According to APnews.com, the highly specialized role in which a pilot temporarily takes control of a ship from its regular captain is coming under the spotlight this week. 2 pilots were at the helm of the cargo ship Dali about 1:25 a.m. Tuesday when it lost power, and minutes later crashed into a pillar of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, causing the bridge to collapse. Now, I wanted to make sure I covered that because the last little bit of conspiracy theory on this, right? There was a screenshot that was shared that had these two pilots, right? One of them was Indian, the other was Ukrainian.
That brings
Which-
up a whole lot more questions.
Yeah, which allegedly, because it's from a Telegram channel, there's no way to verify whether this is, real or honest or whatever. But on a Telegram channel that has in the past been used by Ukrainian freedom fighters to basically announce, hey, we hit this Russian target, we killed this person, we did that. They took responsibility for the key bridge. They basically said that the longer the U.S. government refuses to send us more money, more and more is going to happen.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, again,
We don't know.
yeah, this is a post from a Telegram channel. Who knows how accurate or anything this is, but it all adds to the intrigue and the suspicion surrounding this. Now, there have been those that claim that this is just a distraction. It's a distraction
That too.
and from other important news, right? Have you been following along with this P. Diddy thing at all?
A little bit.
I just want to drop this because I don't know, like, I don't watch any of that stuff. I don't watch Beyonce. I don't watch Jay-Z. I don't watch
either.
P. Liffey or whatever his name is, right? I don't watch any of them. I don't care about any of them. I don't follow them on Twitter. I don't care what
either.
they have to say. However, many, many people do. There are those that are very invested in what these stars do. One interesting thing is that this group is very connected to the Obamas. P. Diddy, was very involved in Biden's campaign, was very involved in Obama's campaigns. I think there are some real questions that deserve to be answered here. Let me see if I can find. This is okay. So I don't know if you guys are aware of this. This is getting into a little different conspiracy theory, but I want to share this and then we'll end the show.
Okay.
So Diddy was allegedly drugging and trafficking women across state lines. That's what they're saying. This is a perfect chance to red pill the populace on his connection with someone named Rachel Chandler. Have you ever heard that name?
That name sounds familiar.
Right. And we're not talking about the cast of Friends. We're talking about a woman by the name of Rachel Chandler. Okay. So who is she?
Okay.
Rachel Chandler was a human trafficker for Epstein.
That's why I heard
And was spotted in photographs with Eminem, P. Diddy, Bill Clinton, and more. How connected was Diddy to this trafficking system? Not only this, but Diddy enjoyed going to an island in the Caribbean that was awfully close to the infamous Little St. James Island with his buddy Leonardo DiCaprio. Quote, I think what HSI is looking at is the interstate aspect of it. Any online activity that could have taken place, that's usually where Homeland Security would look at. He travels all over the place. I'm sure they're looking at him potentially transporting women across the country and whether that was tied to a larger criminal activity. To get a search warrant like this, a certain legal litmus test has to be met. There have been allegations that he was drugging young women, implies there was R word that occurred. So, yes, Rachel Child Handler is a cooperating witness with mounds of evidence on the Epstein clients. This is according to American Shogun. She is in a secure location with 24/7 security until the client's sting is complete. Then she will emerge to testify. They couldn't logically make the list public. So, yeah, there's a lot of rabbit hole here. But again, there is a video that I'm going to send you.
Okay.
Because I really want you to see it. It's this whole post. It's like, I want to see exactly how long it is because, yeah, it's 20 minutes long. But wow, at the information that is on this video. So I'm going to show you guys, if you want to go look at it yourself, I plan on doing, I plan on having it and showing you guys on the show. But in the meantime, it's at Paula C. Blade 17. I'm going to show you. Let's see here. Boop. Okay. So right here at Paula C. Blades 17. It starts with people like Donald Trump being seen with characters like Jeffrey Epstein is not always what lamestream media outlets like the New York Times make it out to be. Sting ops. Roger Stone helped Nixon get elected. Richard Nixon mentored real Donald Trump. Might want to expand your thinking on this one. What else was Watergate about? Was Nixon exposing pedophile rings? Why did HRC steal evidence from the Watergate investigation? 2023, year of disclosure, separation, wheat from tares. There are some very interesting, here's his look. Here's him with his tattoo of Nixon. But I recommend this. There's a video right here. There's actually several, but did I go back too far? Yeah, here it is. So this one and this one, watch this. This one is 20 seconds. Watch. And then points. Did you see it?
Okay.
Look. Watch again.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy right here. I found that very, very interesting. And it goes into more. There's another video, like I said, 20 minutes. It's a lot of information. It talks about what I was talking about Nixon and his connection to Roger Stone and his connection to Donald Trump, and how there's a possibility, if you're into this kind of stuff, that this entire thing is a giant sting operation.
Could be.
Well, one of the things that I had asked, right, and I ask it again, because someone keeps saying, oh, well, Trump, how come these guys didn't get taken out while Trump was in office, right? And, well, why did Trump only say, I wish her well about Ghislaine Maxwell, right? My responses are as follows. Number one, why would Trump say anything at all? Because every single time Trump did try to tell us what was going on, the media would crucify him. Sure. They would twist it. They would take little snippets out of context. Look and forget about good people on both sides, even though that's bullshit. Look at the inject people with bleach bullshit, right? If you actually go and you watch the press conference and read and watch exactly what he said was exposing scientific procedures that work. UV light works to kill germs. This works. That works. Of course, the media twisted it to Donald Trump's telling people to inject themselves with bleach. Or drink bleach, whatever the hell they said. It was ridiculous. I think it was inject themselves with bleach. Unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with. So, that being the case, do you think for a moment that if Trump had tried to blow the whistle on real human trafficking, do you think the media would have been on board? Of course not. Of course not.
They reject everything Trump.
Yeah. If it came from Trump, it's obviously wrong or lie or this or that, right? Okay. So follow that thread for a moment. Okay. So let's say that Trump can't do any of this while he's in office. All right. Because what's it going to look like? If he goes after the very people who supported his opponents, it's going to look bad. Yeah. Right? It's going to look real bad. So let's just say for a moment, again, for the sake of argument, that there are, okay, hold on, before I get to that. The next question is, because someone said they all knew these people were corrupt, right? They all knew, everybody knew in Hollywood that, like P. Diddy, for example, they all knew what he was doing. So my question is, why now? Why is it happening now? Who gave the green light that it's okay to go after him now?
Yeah.
If all these people, same thing with Epstein. If all these people knew and they admitted it, what's her name?
And then we got Harvey Weinstein too.
Right. They all knew. Why? Timing is everything. And I truly do believe that timing is everything.
Yeah.
So if you look at that and you say, okay, why in this circumstance is this happening now? Who gave the green light? Who okayed it? These are all questions you have to ask yourself when you're looking at especially major events like this, right? And I do believe that there are some real connections there that are just waiting to be uncovered.
It'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Oh, for sure. Oh, absolutely. But I think we've gone on long enough. We're at the 2-hour mark. I had a great time.
I did too.
So next week,
that's Friday and Sunday.
We're doing Friday at 5 p.m. Central because I have a guest for the show at 7. And then Sunday.
That's Sunday.
At 7.
Yep.
Okay. As always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for spending your evening with me. I appreciate it. Again, I recommend going and watching that video. There's a lot of very, very interesting information in there. So now part of it, there's a guy called well, just watch it. There's somebody at the end that I don't necessarily follow, but the information in it is good. So, take it for what it is, leave it for what it's not. It's not an endorsement of anyone speaking. It's a series of information. Use that for what it is. So there you go. God bless you. God bless Indiana, and God bless the United States of America.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Sean Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2024. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.